All right, here we go. DGM bets MMA full card prediction. So to start off, we have Guram Kutateladze versus Caio Fernandez. Um, right away, I'm gonna pick Kutateladze. I like his technicality. I like his grit. I think he's a better fighter than Fernandez, and I think he can pull this off. I can think he can pull off a decision win. Seems like a bit of a slow starter, especially against a somebody who's a kickboxer, very proficient with their kicks. It's going to take him a minute or two to figure out how to get into range, but ultimately, I think that Kutaladze can mix it up with technical striking and takedowns. So I'm choosing Kutaladze. So by points is plus 100. And if you give me a second, I will check what. Well, one of the trends that I've been really trying to hit is trying to find, say, Kuta Taladze by split decision. That's plus 500. And I like both of those options. Though, I don't have any bets on the table just yet. Um, so, next fight, we have Nathan Fletcher versus Cowlin Loughran. And this is a rematch. They fought in amateurs. I think it was 2018. But in my opinion, I think that doesn't really have much bearing on this current fight. Cowlin Loughran has, I believe, 3 fights in the UFC. And this is Nathan Fletcher's debut in the UFC. He was on the Contender Series last. He has very good takedowns, very good jiu-jitsu. Um, and there's a reason that the odds are the way they are, negative 166 and plus 140. I think that line has changed since. And we're gonna fast forward to the main event of this card. So the difference in striking, a lot of people are picking Brady to win the main event, and they're saying that Brady's takedown ability is going to outweigh the discrepancy in striking. Brady's striking isn't terrible, right? And let's be honest, Leon Edwards, he doesn't have like his only KO um, was luck, pure luck. I think he's got what a ground and pound and another KO from 2015, something along those lines. So we're not looking at Leon Edwards to get KOs. Now, going back to this fight, I haven't seen Fletcher's stand up game, but I think there is a greater discrepancy in uh, the difference in striking here. And Calvin Loughran is not a very good striker to begin with, but I really think that the UFC experience and I believe that he's going to be patient this time around. He really needs the win. I'm going with Calvin Loughran on this one, although, I do have Fletcher by sub at plus 550. Loughran at points at plus 230. So those are two bets to really look out for. And let me check their split decision. I believe, I really couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you. Because Fletcher trains with Paddy the Baddy, there's going to be really heavy, high-level jiu-jitsu. But in the first fight that I saw, Calvin Loughran showed an ability to roll with Fletcher, and it was by decision. So if Fletcher's feeling a little bit of jitters, if Loughran's a little bit stronger, a little bit quicker than he remembered, then this fight could easily just go to decision. And if you give me 1 minute, I will check those odds on split and majority decision. Um, Loughran to win by split or majority decision, plus 750. and Fletcher to win by split or majority decision plus 650. There's a lot of money to be made on this card. That's all I can say. You know, what's that? You know, two fights in. That's all I can really say. But my official pick would be Loughran. I'm going with. Um, there's a stat out there. Uh, I believe in 2025. Now, a lot of the bettors out there have been unsuccessful in 2025. One of the biggest themes of 2025 is undefeated fighters are something like, I don't know, 14 out of 31 undefeated. I can't. Don't quote me on it. And but if I am counting the fights correctly, if I'm recording the fights correctly, 10 fighters have made a UFC debut, not including contenders. Like contenders to me doesn't count as a UFC debut, and they are three out of 10 fights they have won. So the UFC debuts only have a 30% win rate, and I wonder what impact that. Statistics are just statistics. The fight game is not really reliable on statistics. Are meant to be broken. Records, like somebody has a streak and that streak snaps. It's just how it goes. Especially the UFC, where you have the like some of the greatest fighters that are around today. They all have losses. So you know that's why I think that undefeated and that debut, I think it is important. I think that even the best fighters will lose a fight, especially their debut. Moving on. Shauna Bannon versus Pooja Tomar. I'm going to pick Bannon right away. Pooja Tomar, I'll tell you right now, she's going to catch Bannon with her lead hook. She has kind of like a counter hook, kind of a step back hook. She's going to catch Bannon moving in. And Pooja Tomar throws a really strong side kick. And she's going to catch Bannon coming in. She's going to catch her right in the stomach and knock her on her butt. I can see it happening. That's why I'm a little hesitant to pick Bannon, especially by decision. She doesn't have the power to get anybody out. Bannon by sub is definitely live. Her jiu-jitsu, she's quite impressive jiu-jitsu. I wouldn't say super high level, but she seems to have a very good understanding of what to do on the ground. And Shauna Bannon by submission is plus 1800. Wow. I don't know Tomar's what her ground game is like. But that being said, I picked Bannon just for I really believe in women's MMA, especially volume wins the fights, and Bannon is going to be dictating the exchanges. She whether she moves in with that high karate kick, and it's something that everybody has to be careful of. I just don't see Tomar getting knocked out. She seems real tough. But Bannon by decision, fight to go the distance is like negative 400. It's just not really worth it when you can pick. Um, for example, Tomar by split decision is plus 700, and Bannon by split decision is plus 400. So you can really increase your odds there. Next fight, Christian Leroy Duncan. I should be clicking here. Christian Leroy Duncan versus Andre Pulyaev. And Pulyaev is an impressive fighter. Good technical, um, you know, uh, um, but I feel like his striking capabilities are quite limited. Just a straight 1-2 and a good uh, kick, good roundhouse from his back leg. And I think the variability of Christian Leroy Duncan will ultimately get the job done. Plus, Pulyaev had cardio issues, and this is his debut. So, Christian Leroy Duncan with a round 3 KO is plus 700, whereas his odds are negative 500, negative 600. They won't list the odds, but they're negative 600 if I'm not mistaken. Negative 485. And it's tough to make money. We've seen a lot of these people who are rated very highly lose. Um, Pulyaev by points is plus 800. Watching Leroy Duncan. Um, well, first of all, this is a UFC debut for Pulyaev, so we've got two debuts on this card so far, and we know how that goes. 30% win rate as of yet. Christian Leroy Duncan, watching him fight, when he gets hit, if he eats a jab, he closes his eyes and turns his head. It's very worrying to me. But I don't think that Pulyaev has the power or like the combinations to put him away. I think that Christian Leroy Duncan is going to be spinning and throwing these crazy kicks and uh, KO in the third, but probably points if I had to guess. Next fight, Marcin Tibora versus Mick Parkin. And, I'm going to have to go with Tybora. This is the heavyweight division. Tybora is 38 years old, which is not old in the heavyweight division. He's got solid takedowns, and if Tybora get with the way the heavyweight division is, and they have relatively low level jiu-jitsu. If Tybora gets on top of Parkin, Parkin's not getting up. And after seeing what Tybora did to Jonathan Denise, he won by murder. The doctors stopped the fight. Um, I kind of see a similar thing happening. Not saying that he's necessarily going to get the stoppage, but if Parkin does win, I see it on points plus 210. Just because uh, Tybora is not Brzezinski or whoever he knocked out recently. He's not Brzezinski. Brzezinski moves in with his chin up, whereas Tybora is a little more stocky and I believe he's going to get the takedowns. If not, Parkin. I don't think Parkin's quick enough to avoid the takedowns. That's my thought behind there. But if he does win, it's on points, not KO. So my official pick is Tybura. Now the next fight I'm completely split on. I'm so split on this fight. Kavanaugh, undefeated fighter. It's not his UFC debut. I believe he's got one or two fights. But man, you know, a low volume, really technical striker. Kavanaugh is really good. He possesses power. The problem is that Felipe Dos Santos will put the new guy, the younger guy, under so much pressure. This dude just moves forward. He doesn't care about, he just does no regards for his safety. People say that's a weakness, but you have to understand, like, being pressured like that in a fight is overwhelming. It absolutely is. Not to mention the fact that Dos Santos has ground game, and so Santos by sub is plus 1100. Santos by split decision is plus 1200. I haven't chosen. That's the one thing I cannot choose. I have to sleep on it. Um, I'm a dog chaser. I haven't been catching too many dogs lately. I'm a dog chaser. I'm gonna say Santos, though the odds definitely favor Kavanaugh. Um, if I believe that Santos lost his fight versus. I believe he lost his fight versus Altamirano, but the forward pressure and the volume striking, it just And Altamirano scored 9 takedowns, but Dos Santos just kept getting up. So Kavanaugh's gonna have to fight this whole fight on the feet. If he takes Dos Santos to the ground, he's going to face serious submission threats. I really think Dos Santos could get it done, but that's not my final pick. You know what? Let's make Santos my final pick. Santos is my final pick. We're doing it. We're doing it live. Next fight, Padilla versus Herbert. I'm just about done, absolutely done with point fighters that have no power in the UFC. I think last year, the year before that, and plenty of years before that, these point fighters could get it done, but the fight game is evolving. Players are getting better. The new guys that are coming into the UFC, some of these guys have been training all their life. We've seen so many people who were like they trained mixed martial arts for 2 years and now they're almost ranked in the UFC, and it just that's the youth of the sport. And now the current youth of the sport are coming in and they're just better. They're just better than their predecessors, and that's just a fact. Um, I think Padilla can get it done. I the same the same theory as the last one, the pressure. But in this case, Padilla, this dude shoots takedowns like just he shoots them so hard. He's so athletic. By the second round, Padilla will have his timing. He will get, I half expect Herbert to win the first round, but I believe that Padilla will get his takedowns are so vicious. He'll score a big takedown early in the second round. That's what I see. Doesn't necessarily mean that he's gonna get the finish off of the takedown, but I believe with powerful striking and securing the takedowns, I believe that's Chris Padilla's path to victory. um, he seems to be the dog. I don't recall that though. Negative 105 to negative 115. Technically the dog, but nowhere near dog odds. So next fight, Nathaniel Wood versus Charrier, and I'm a big fan on Nathaniel Wood. Less of a fan of Charrier, but Charrier is a tank, and he gets the job done. I can't quite put my finger on it. I'm gonna have to go with Charrier because of that. He's just, this is a great fight. A lot of the fights on this card are going to be great. You see, everything is just about even, except for the height, but they have the same reach, the same leg reach, um, very similar records. I'll be upset if Nathaniel Wood wins. I don't have their split decision in front of me, but I really just think that Charrier is going to be putting the pressure in this fight, and he's just a tank. He doesn't really damage doesn't really phase Charrier. I could be wrong. I just don't know if Daniel Wood, Nathan Wood is going to be getting a takedown. I think Charrier is going to out pressure, outstrike him. Um, Split decision on Charrier is plus 650, plus 700 on Nathaniel Wood. Majority decision on Charrier plus 225. So these are good ways to play this fight instead of just going points, trying to figure out, you know. Um, the next fight, oh man, this fighter might be the lock of the week. I was very impressed with Jordan Vucenic's debut. He stepped up on short notice against Kuta Taladze, who's a very skilled fighter. He won the first round hands down. Um, what a great fight. And Chris Duncan, just a little reckless at times. I don't think that his pressure, his brutality is going to phase Jordan Vucenic. Jordan Vucenic, just a fighter, man. And I think he's got this one, and the odds really do suit the situation here at negative 345. I'm not sure how I would want to play that with prop bets. If Chris Duncan gets reckless and moves forward, I definitely see Vucenic catching him either with a sub or a KO. Like Vucenic's live for everything. Sub, KO, points, majority decision. I don't think that Chris Duncan really does have strong kicks. but I just don't see him getting the job done. I'm taking Jordan Vucenic. Okay, next fight: Molly McCann versus Alexia Tainara. Alexia Tainara is debuting, making her debut UFC. Now, she was a dog in her last fight in Contender Series, and she really put a beating on her opponent, both on the feet and on the ground. But this is not Molly McCann's first fight. And we have seen Molly McCann getting taken down and uh, literally taken advantage of in some of the worst ways. But I just don't know if the debutante will be able to beat Molly McCann. Molly McCann's got her beat on the feet, and I'm not just talking about the spinning elbows. For a female, she moves forward and moves her head very well. She throws bombs. It's constant pressure. I think she gets the job done. As I've said, that pressure, when somebody is, whether it's the octagon or the ring, when somebody is pressuring you and swinging, it's very overwhelming and it really hits the cardio. Molly McCann has great cardio. I don't know. We're gonna test Alexia Tainara, 1-0 in her professional MMA career. I don't know where they got this stat from. She has no other fights. Like I said, I don't know enough about her. I only watched one fight, but I'm gonna have to take Molly McCann. McCann on points is plus 310. Molly McCann by KO in the third round, plus 3,400. So those are some props to watch out for. Next, we have Gunnar Nelson versus Kevin Holland. This fight could either be really good or really bad. Everybody knows Kevin Holland doesn't really care about his record. He really only cares about money. And it seems like he doesn't even care if he loses and takes home less money. Kevin Holland's not really going to fight for your money. He's going to talk trash. I wish there was a bet on over or under, 30 words worth of trash talk during the fight. But, Gunnar Nelson coming off, what is it, a 2 years worth of ring rust, and supposedly this is his last fight so that he can exit out of his contract. He's a coach, so he's probably just going to take that money and make sure that he can keep the lights in the gym on until his dying day. I don't know. I don't know. Whatever he's making for, it's the third to last fight of the night. Um, whatever money he's making. That being said, if he takes there's like a stat out there. Kevin Holland getting taken down in round one as a welterweight, he wins all the time, or something like that. But he has not faced Gunnar Nelson's top pressure is probably might be the best in the division. He's very, very good. So if he gets Kevin Holland to the ground, which I gotta say, the only two strikes I recall Gunnar Nelson throwing is a lead cross and that rear roundhouse. That back roundhouse. I don't know if he can. If this fight stays on the feet, it's Kevin Holland all day, and Kevin Holland is even live for a knockout. But if Gunnar Nelson can time his takedowns, he gets the win. That being said, I'm gonna have to pick Kevin Holland to win this fight. It's one of those things where if I pick Kevin Holland and I lose my money, I'm gonna be like, damn, I'm such an idiot. But if Kevin Holland wins, it's gonna be an easy fight. It should be an easy fight, and I'm gonna be really mad if I don't put money on him, especially at dog odds. I don't think Kevin Holland by sub. I don't think Kevin Holland by sub is a good one, but Nelson in round two is plus 700. Um, Let me check what Nelson by submission is. So Nelson by submission is plus 200. The double chance. Oh, I don't know where. I always forget how to find the double chance. So this might take too long. Yeah, I don't know where the double chance is, but double chance on Holland by points or KO might be a good place to start. All right, moving on to the second to last fight. We've got Jan Blachowicz versus Carlos Olberg. I'm going Carlos Olberg. The way that I explain it is this: Olberg is a better striker than Israel Adesanya. He's got more. He's got power, right? And he uses the full reach of his power. Carlos Olberg is quicker on the feet and moves around a lot more than Poatan. And if you look at the fight, Jan versus Poatan, Jan versus Israel Adesanya, they were close decisions, right? And I in a 3 round fight, if it was a 5 round fight, I'd say Olberg hands down. Jan's gonna gas out. Jan does have potential here. We have yet to see Olberg challenged real well in his takedown defense. So, but we're gonna find out here. And I do. Jan is 42 years old, coming off was it 18-month layoff, shoulder surgery. Who knows how long? Real bad shoulder surgery. Complaining about how long it took to heal. That's all I got to say. Jan's gonna put up a big fight. A good fight. You know, he always will. That's why they put him second on the list. He's not done with the UFC yet, but 42 years old, coming off a shoulder surgery against somebody who can crack and move around. I got Olberg all day. Main event. You don't really have to watch too much tape on this one, and that might be me eating my words, but man, I got Sean Brady. As I said before, Leon Edwards is not gonna get the job done on the feet. He's not gonna knock Sean Brady out. Sean Brady has, for some reason, he's got like a Mexican head. Like if you try to punching Sean Brady in the head will break your hand. Just like yeah, he just has a thick skull. And his striking isn't that good, but he's got great cardio. I think he's very similar to Bilal. We just haven't seen Brady crying in the cage, and I really think Brady will get those takedowns. He'll push Leon up against the fence. He'll scramble, and he'll get the takedowns. Is it finish? I really don't know. Is it decision? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. But I've got Sean Brady. Leon Edwards does not have the power to keep somebody off him. That pressure that I'm talking about, that overwhelming pressure with that unrivaled cardio, I really am pointing to Sean Brady to win this fight. Leon Edwards might be a fraud in terms of he got lucky against an aging Usman. Then he fought a really old, what's his name? Cody. I think it's a good thing I can't remember his name because I don't like the guy. Uh, wow. Oh, I sparred tonight. I got hit in the head a few times. So, uh, yeah, and that dude did nothing that fight. He complained that he like stubbed his toe or something. Then Leon lost his fight to Bilal, and now here we are with a very similar version of this fight. And Brady has had plenty of time to work on his striking, at least so that he can pressure and force the takedown. And that's just about how I've got it. Um, I've gone over some of my prop bets. I do have one of the things that I did is there's 3 other people in the bet prediction world that I respect, right? And I call it a consensus bet. So I write down all their picks. They're different from mine, but I still listen to their advice. I take all their picks and I put them in 3 columns right next to each other. And if all 3 of them agree with a pick, I put it in a parlay. So I think it's an 8-leg parlay. here's the parlay, because all three of these people, they all agree. It's unanimous. These are my three judges. This is unanimous decision on these fights. You ready? So, Kuta Taladze, Fletcher, Kavanaugh, Charrier, Vucenic, Holland, and Olberg. And a parlay is plus 1536. Plus 1536 for those odds. And if you take my picks, okay, Kuta Taladze, Loughran, Bannon, Duncan, Tybura, Dos Santos. Ooh, I'm going to sweat that one. Guys, I'm going to sweat that one. Padilla, Charrier, Vucenic, McCann, Holland, Olberg, and Brady. You put those 13? I thought it was 14 fights. Let me make sure I didn't miss one. You put those 13 picks in a parlay, it's plus 199,000. Okay? I don't put $10 into these bets. I don't even put 10 into it. Because I hardly ever pick. But it's very fun. Like, $1 wins you $2,000. A $1 bet. So, 5 is 10 grand. It's the full card Make-A-Wish Foundation. Though it's so fun to me to do that, a full card, and then every single fight, especially if I get the beginning ones correct, it's just a rush and a more UFC. Oh, was it 303 in Brazil? I got 12 out of 13 correct, and I had all of them correct, and then when Vitor Petrino. Victor Vitor Petrino jumped guillotine on Anthony Smith and lost. I was at Dave and Buster's. I almost flipped the table over. The rest of my picks that night won the fight. They won the rest of my picks won. I almost flipped the table at Dave and Buster's. Why would you jump the... He was winning on the feet against Anthony Smith, and he decided to jump the guillotine. So anyways. Oh, I've got another one for you. Let me bring it up. I call it the Ireland Parlay. Hold on. Hear me out. I have to clear my bet slip. So the Ireland Parlay, you ready? Colin Loughran at plus 114. Shauna Bannon at negative 170. Kavanaugh. I can't pronounce his first name. Leon. Leon Kavanaugh, negative 270. And Molly McCann, plus 200. Even though I picked Dos Santos, I'm still going to throw the Ireland Parlay out there at plus 1,297 odds. That's a great parlay to put a little sprinkle on. May the luck of the Irish be with you.